Hello, what up? I'm Orange, and I've picked out 20 anime that I've watched, and I'm gonna rank every single one of them from S to E. Pretty standard idea. You've probably seen millions of tier lists before, but hey, it's fun, and I really wanna talk about all of these shows. I have some hot takes to say about some of them, and I think it can be pretty fun to hear what I have to say. Alrighty. We're gonna start in the beginning. The first show I ever watched, the first anime I ever watched is Naruto. Yep. Look at it in all of its glory. I'm gonna count Naruto and the Naruto Shippuden in the same breath because, if I separated every show to all of the different seasons, this video would be 50 minutes, and I don't really want to do that, so we're gonna keep it brief. Naruto is the first anime I ever watched. I actually started watching it because I played the mobile game, a Naruto mobile game, before I ever even watched the actual show, and the game had the story mode that I really liked, and I kind of felt like after playing through the story mode in the game, I wanted to actually experience the real story. So I watched the actual show and actually really liked it. I feel like the first season is really solid. Some of the best arcs in anime history come up in this season. The Land of Waves arc, the Chunin exams, some incredible moments, amazing characters. I do feel like the second season, Naruto Shippuden, kind of feels significantly worse than the first season because there is so much filler. Please, if you're gonna watch the show today, don't watch the original version. Do not put yourself through that torture. It's 500 episodes and half of them are garbage filler. Don't do that. Watch the Kai version. It cuts all of the filler. You will have a much better experience. But if I'm taking everything into account, I'm gonna put Naruto in A tier. Some people will probably wanna have it on S because it is a classic. It's very iconic, but I mean, I just can't really ignore the fact that Shippuden is super filler heavy, and if someone had to watch the entire show with all of the fillers, he will probably wanna kill himself. But that's besides the point. We're gonna move on to Naruto's friend. When people think about the two biggest shonen anime, they always talk about Dragon Ball, and Naruto. And again, with the Dragon Ball, I'm gonna take in the first season, Dragon Ball, the second season, Dragon Ball Z, and the third season, Dragon Ball Super, all in one. So I'm gonna judge pretty much the entire Dragon Ball franchise in one. So what do I think about Dragon Ball? Dragon Ball is an interesting one. I also feel like the first season is the best one out of the three. I feel like Dragon Ball, just like Naruto, has some of the best arcs and some of the best moments in anime history. The Super Saiyan transformation on the Namek Saga is one of the most iconic scenes in anime history. It's like I could still remember it to this day. It's super iconic. Vegeta is an amazing character. There are so many great moments all around and all across the show. But again, if you compare something like Dragon Ball to maybe like a Demon Slayer or a Jujutsu Kaisen, the show is pretty poorly paced. Even Dragon Ball has some filler in it. I think Dragon Ball Z is like 200 episodes or something like that, and there are like 20 or 30 filler episodes, and when you're watching the actual show, you feel it, right? Like when you have a really good episode and then suddenly some random filler pops up for no reason, it really kind of kills the momentum. And because of that, and also because of the fact that Dragon Ball Super is kind of mid, I'm gonna put Dragon Ball in B. I still like it. I feel like it is deserving of the respect it gets. but there are clearly many better shows. So we're gonna move on to the best show ever created. It's actually, I don't really need to keep making this video because Boruto is obviously better than anything else. It's like Boruto is 7 times better than Naruto. It's 60 times better than Dragon Ball. If we're actually being honest, this shit is trash. This show is garbage. And I'm gonna tell you exactly why. Naruto is actually kind of lucky that I'm not including Boruto with Naruto, because if I did, Naruto would be much lower on the list. But let's just make a bit of a comparison, right? When you're watching Naruto Shippuden, maybe 60% is good and then 40% is filler, right? There is still a lot of filler, but there is also a lot of good stuff, right? When you watch Boruto, this show has 70% filler, 70% trash, garbage episodes, and then maybe like a good 30% of actual entertaining episodes. This show is a nightmare to go through, and I watched every single episode of it because I care about Naruto and I really want to see where it continues. But I will not recommend this show to anybody else. The Chunin exams of Boruto are just a sad replica of what they did in Naruto. It's not nearly as good. Some moments are fine. I will not say that it's completely garbage, but it's not a fun experience. You should just read the manga if you want to see what actually happens, because the anime is mostly just a waste of time. And it's going to be sitting calmly in the E tier. Okay, what's next? What else do I want to talk about? You know what? Let's go to a better shonen. Hunter x Hunter. 2 Hunters, Hunter x Hunter. The pronunciation, that doesn't matter. This show is just simply a masterpiece. It's an incredible show. I personally feel like it's the best shonen ever created. It's certainly my favorite shonen. I feel like the characters, the arcs, the highlights of this anime, the best moments of the best arcs are just the best. The Netero and the Meruem fight, the Gon and Pito moments, the not the Chunin exams, but the Hunter exams. There are just so many amazing moments. But I will say, people sometimes point to the Chimera Ant arc and they kind of say that, some of the pacing is kind of trash. There are some episodes in the anime where the narrator kind of just talks for the entire episode. And you know what? I feel like that is true. I do remember that when I watched Hunter x Hunter for the first time, when I got to the Chimera Ant arc, there were definitely some episodes where I feel like the pacing was a bit off. But when you look at the show in the grand scheme of things, it does so much good stuff. I feel like all of the qualms, all of the issues people have with it are like really, really small in comparison. I really, really hope that maybe in 5 years, we will actually see the second season of Hunter x Hunter. I don't know if we will actually be able to see it because, Togashi is in a questionable state and the manga is on an hiatus. Still, a man can hope that maybe one day this show will have a second season. It's gonna be sitting firmly in the S tier. Some of the best the shonen genre has to offer. It is absolutely incredible. What else? What's gonna be the next one? Okay. We're gonna move on to something a bit more controversial. One Punch Man. This show is massive. Who doesn't know One Punch Man? The opening to the show is massive. Everybody has heard it. One Punch! Yeah, it's a massive show. I feel like it has 2 seasons now, but the manga is a bit further on. I didn't read the manga. I only watched the first 2 seasons. And I gotta say, I personally don't really see the crazy hype behind this show. Some people say it's like some of the best anime that has ever been released. People put it like next to Hunter x Hunter and next to other shows that I will put in S tier. I personally don't really understand why people like the show so much. I mean, it is a fun show. There are many cool fights. I think Saitama is a fun character. I feel like there is definitely space to make Saitama really interesting, to make the character writing more interesting just throughout the entire show. I feel like this show definitely has some potential, but right now, as it stands, I don't feel like it's up there with the best shows of all time. It's definitely not as good as Naruto, and it's not even close to what Hunter x Hunter did. I feel like One Punch Man is a B tier show. I actually think Dragon Ball is better. I can see a day where maybe there is one more season, we get a third season, maybe we even get a fourth season, and this show can maybe creep up to the A tier. But right now, as it stands, people need to relax with saying that it's one of the best shows of all time. It absolutely isn't. I don't know why like people are even considering this show as like an S tier show or one of the best shows of all time. It's just not that good. But who knows, maybe one day it will be up on that level. I mean, I don't hate it. I don't want to hate on it too much, but hey, there are much better stuff out there. What will be the next one? Very, very interesting. There are many interesting shows there. You know what? I'm gonna pick a short one next. We have Cyberpunk Edge Runners. Now, this show, if I'm not mistaken, is 16 episodes or something close to 16 episodes. It's a relatively short show, and I actually watched all of it in one day, in one sitting. And man, it packs a punch. God damn, this show, like, man, this show puts you in a space that is just like really, really emotionally powerful. Like, I remember listening to some of the soundtrack tracks after finishing the show and just feeling a wave of emotions. David Martinez is such an interesting character. He really encapsulates the spirit of Cyberpunk 2077. I feel like this show adds so much to the game. When you play through the game and you play through the story and then you watch this show, I feel like you just get a deeper understanding and a deeper appreciation of what the creators of Cyberpunk did, because David, in a sense, feels like a different version of V, which is the main character for the game. It kind of feels like you take V's story and you kind of just put it in a different version. And when you see both stories side by side, it really makes you appreciate the bigger story of Cyberpunk so much more. It's short, but it's sweet. It's an amazing show, amazing moments. I will say that it is genuinely, even in 16 episodes alone, I think it's an S tier show. I think it's on the same level as Hunter x Hunter. I don't think it's better than Hunter x Hunter, but it's on that same level. It is an absolutely incredible show. I love it. Now, another popular one that people have many opinions about is Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer is one of those newer shows. It's a newer shonen that people, Gen Z people, Gen X people really kind of prop it up. There are many different edits. This show is incredibly popular. I'm pretty sure it won a couple of awards. Crunchyroll does their end of the year anime awards, and I feel like this year they gave it to Jujutsu Kaisen, but I'm pretty sure that the previous year they actually gave it to Demon Slayer. This show is very popular, but if we're being honest, there was really not much special about it outside of the animation. It's certainly not a bad show. It's a fine show. It's well paced. I mean, this show does in like 40 episodes what it took Dragon Ball 200 episodes, because everything is very quick. You go from one point to another point really quickly. You don't get these 50 episode arcs where like one small thing is happening every episode. The show is continuously on go mode. Go, go, go. It always moves forward. And I do feel like that's a good thing. But again, Tanjiro feels like an AI generated shonen MC. He has very little personality to him. He's not that interesting. His backstory is, I guess, cool, but again, this show feels very standard. It's not as interesting as Naruto. It's not as emotionally potent as Naruto. I don't even feel like it's really as good as Dragon Ball. I would say that the second season is really, really good, but everything outside of that is kind of just fine. It's not bad, but again, I'm not really excited when I watch Demon Slayer. I am entertained, but in the grand scheme of anime and in the grand scheme of shonen, you absolutely get much better than this. So I will put it in the B tier. I would say it's better than One Punch Man, but I don't think it's better than Dragon Ball, so it can be in the middle of B tier. It's a fine show, it's solid, but again, it's nothing crazy for the genre. I feel like, 50 Demon Slayers will probably be released in the next 10 years. This show doesn't really do much to stand out, at least in my opinion. That's that. We're gonna move on to a classic show, Cowboy Bebop. Everyone who is 25 years old or older is gonna tell you, when I was younger, Cowboy Bebop was poppin'. This show was everywhere. This show is a classic. It's vintage. It's incredible. And I gotta say, I absolutely agree. Now, I do feel like it's interesting to note kind of the experience most people have when they start Cowboy Bebop. When people watch Cowboy Bebop for the first time, they watch the first 4 episodes and they kind of think to themselves, okay, this show is cool, nice animation, nice characters. I mean, it's like whatever, but like, is it really that good? I mean, people say it's an S-tier show. It's one of the best shows of all time. And, when you watch the first couple of episodes, you don't really feel that, because this show does something that most shows don't do. And that thing is that this show shows and it doesn't tell. There are no narrators, there are no graphic cards. You just get thrown into the world of Cowboy Bebop and you don't know anything about it. You have to piece the pieces on your own. Nobody is gonna tell you why things are happening. Nobody is gonna tell you what is the point of the show. You gotta figure it out on your own. And I gotta say, when I watched this show, just like everybody else, the first 3 episodes did not really pull me in. It was pretty, it was cool, but again, I didn't really understand what was the point of the show. But I still continued to watch it. And when I got to the second half, everything clicked. I suddenly realized what the show is really about. I'm not gonna spoil it because I feel like people should have the opportunity to figure it out for themselves. But when you really figure out what the show is about, even the episodes that you didn't like become classics. This show, to this day, has my favorite ending of any anime ever. And it gives you an experience that you just will not experience in many other shows. It's a really special show. It's super iconic for a good reason. I feel like it's an S-tier show. It's incredible. Amazing show. I love Cowboy Bebop. It's only 26 episodes, and in 26 episodes, it tells you an incredible story. I'm in love with it. It's one of my favorites of all time. Amazing show. Now, we had a really good one. I feel like it's only fair to talk about some mid, Skate the Infinity. I don't feel like many people watch this show. I have a friend who is a big anime watcher, and she kind of recommended to me many different shows. This show was one of them, and I watched it because it was short. I'm pretty sure the Skate the Infinity is like 18 episodes. So It definitely doesn't drag on. The show is pretty much about two guys that like skating, I guess. Some of the animation is fine. The races are quite fun, but like this show really doesn't have much about it that is memorable or really distinguishable. I really can't give it anything higher than C. It's not a terrible show by any means. It's not like Boruto, but again, when I watched Skate to the Infinity, I didn't really come away with really anything that memorable about the show. It's kind of like a show you watch and you kind of forget about after a week. There really isn't much to it. It's whatever. It is whatever. Now we have a big one. Big, this big, even maybe this big, even maybe that big, maybe I don't know. It's very big. It's actually very large double XL kind of show. I'm gonna take time to make the picture smaller, but whatever. We are of course talking about Death Note. Death Note is one of the most mainstream anime of all time. My mom watched Death Note, your mom watched Death Note, everybody watched Death Note. If you watch anime, you've watched Death Note. It's a massive show. It's incredibly iconic. And it's a show with a lot of upside. I feel like the first half is incredible. The dynamic between Light and L, some of the really smart moments and some of the really smart decisions that Light makes, those moments really add a lot to the show. But I do feel like the second half and the ending kind of take away from the show for me. And many people will say that this show is one of the bigger classics of the entire anime industry, and I can understand where people are coming from. But for me personally, because of the second half and because of the ending, I'm not as big on the show as a whole, and I'm gonna give it a B ranking. I know, throw tomatoes at me, beat me up. How the hell is Orange giving Death Note only a B tier? Are you crazy? Maybe I am. I don't know. I don't feel like it's overall that good. It is still a good show. It's obviously better than One Punch Man. It's better than Demon Slayer. I'm gonna put it right behind the Dragon Ball, but well, actually, maybe it's also better than Dragon Ball because at least Death Note is not very long. But you know what? I'ma keep it below Dragon Ball for now. I feel like Death Note, if it was a bit more sharp, if Nier was as interesting as L, I feel like this show could have easily been A tier, at least maybe even S. But because the second half holds it back, I'm gonna put it in B tier. That's me though. And I'm gonna move on. From there, we're gonna take a one that many people do not know, Space Dandy. Space Dandy was made by the same creators of Cowboy Bebop. It's not nearly as impactful in terms of vision. You know, I feel like Cowboy Bebop is a much more serious show. But with that being said, Space Dandy is one of the most fun shows I've ever watched. Point blank period. This show is so much fun. It's so fun. Every single episode feels like a classic. It's an episodic show, so every episode is different. There is not much overlap, but you know, I feel like this show does many things right. It has amazing music, memorable characters. One of the main points of interest in the show is a bar called Boobies. If that's not a reason to watch this show, I don't know what is. This show is mega fun, and even when it tries to be serious, those serious moments shine through and they are genuinely interesting. I heavily recommend anyone who hasn't watched Space Dandy to give it a try. It's not gonna be for everyone, but if you are into dumb fun, you will love Space Dandy. It's a great show. It's A tier. Alright, what will we pick next? We have some big bangers up ahead. I feel like it's time for us to talk about JoJo. I have many friends that will be really interested to hear what I think about JoJo. JoJo is a one-of-one show. There is nothing like it. Nobody even came close to what JoJo did. It is unique. And because I'm ranking all of it in just one entry, I'm going to be taking part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and putting them all together. I did that with the manga, so I'm not going to include part 7 and 8. It's just the first 6. Now, JoJo has some very bright moments. Part 2 is amazing. Joseph, Nazis, many crazy stuff happened in part 2 and I really, really love it. I feel like part 5 is also really well animated and it has a really beautiful setting. Jotaro in part 3 is a very iconic character. Obviously, Dio from part 3 is also mega iconic. Dio is probably the most iconic character of the entire show. He definitely radiates that final boss energy. JoJo is very memorable, but again, I kind of feel like it's a bit of a mixed bag because some parts are good, some parts are fine, some parts are great. You kind of get a bit of everything on JoJo, and when we are breaking it as a whole, I feel like this show will either be at the bottom of A tier or maybe at the top of B tier. Maybe those two. I feel like for now, because it's so unique, I'm gonna give it bottom A. Yep. JoJo is a one-of-one show, nothing is like it. If you haven't watched JoJo, how can you call yourself an anime fan? Please do yourself a favor and watch JoJo. It's a really special show. You will probably have a lot of fun. Next one on the list, I feel like we will go for a fan favorite, Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga is just one of the best shows, one of the best animes that have ever been created. It tells one of the most powerful stories in anime history. It is very well executed. The progression of Thorfinn is really inspiring, and Vinland Saga is, I feel like, the kind of show that has genuinely inspired a whole generation of anime watchers. The second season is really powerful, kind of the dichotomy of Thorfinn's background and then what Thorfinn became. That, push and pull is really interesting. It's really well executed. It's a show that will definitely go down in history as one of the best that the genre has to offer. And I'm going to give it S because it is clearly one of the best shows. It is one of my favorites. Okay, I feel like Cyberpunk is going to be at the bottom of S tier. I think Bebop is... Is Bebop better than Vinland Saga? That's a really interesting question. I feel like... No, I feel like Bebop is better than Vinland Saga slightly. And then Edgerunners can be right there. Vinland Saga is an amazing show and it's not even finished. It's gonna get a third season next year probably, so I'm really excited about that. But we're gonna move on to Attack. Actually, you know what? No. 7 Deadly Sins. 7 Deadly Sins. This show is very polarizing, Some of the manga readers really like it. I'm personally not a fan of it, okay? I don't know what to say. I just don't like it. I don't like it. The third season just ruined everything this show had going for it. It is animated terribly in the third season. Some characters like Elizabeth just ruined the entire show for me. I just cannot stand that woman. She's so annoying. She's so stuck up. I just don't like her. I feel like every time she's on the screen, I just want to turn off my computer. I just can't co-sign the lore of the show. I feel like King and Diane are not that interesting. Meliodas could have been much better written. Escanor is amazing. I love Escanor. He's a big chad, and I love big chads, big boy chads. I'm not gonna complain about big chads, but I mean, the show overall is just not good. It's not. I didn't even watch the final season because I just couldn't be asked to even finish it. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in D tier. I don't know how I actually rotated it to be kind of on its side. Oh, that's how I did it. Huh. Technology. Technology. Okay, it's gonna be in D tier. The D tier for 7 Deadly Dicks. Oh, actually, it's 7 Deadly Sins. My bad. 7 Deadly Dicks. Okay. Mushoku Tensei is gonna be the next show on our tier list. This one, again, is one that you know if you know anime, but if you don't, you probably don't know this one. It's an isekai. I feel like this show is really an acquired taste. I'm personally a really big fan of it because this show is actually based on a light novel. So there is actually a book out there, a written book that details everything that happens in the show. Most anime are based on a manga. This one is based on a novel. So it kind of gives it a more detailed feel. I feel like Rudius is a character that some people are gonna have a really difficult time empathizing with because he's kind of a weirdo, especially in the first season. But I feel like this show tells a story that is really important. It's really powerful, dealing with trauma, dealing with pain, with bullying, with just failure of your environment. Being able to deal with all of those things and become a better person, a better man, a stronger man, a more capable human being. I feel like if this show is done right, because right now we only have 2 seasons and there's still much more to go, if this show continues to be as good as it could be, one day it's going to be S tier. Right now, it's A. It's A. I do feel like if you haven't watched it, you should give it a try. It's definitely not a show for everyone again, but it's a show that actually tells an interesting story. Demon Slayer just gives you an AI-generated bullshit-ass shonen story. Mushoku Tensei actually gives you something that is unique and interesting, and I fuck with that heavily. Move on to a show nobody watched, but I'm so sad it's not more popular. Ladies and gentlemen, Odd Taxi is one of the best animes ever created. It's that simple. This show has some of the best dialogue, some of the best writing in anime history. It's that simple. This show is perfect. Every single episode of Odd Taxi is a perfect episode. It is so cozy. It is so beautiful. The characters have so much personality. It feels like a slice of life show that is actually beautifully written. The animation quality, the writing, the characters, just the pacing and sequencing, all of it is perfect. This show is in my top 5 or even top 3 of my personal favorites. Please, if you haven't watched Odd Taxi, do yourself a favor, watch the show. It is incredible. It's so underrated. People don't even know this show, but it's so good. Please give it a try. It's so amazing. It's S tier, and it's not just S tier. It's better than Cyberpunk. It's better than Villain. Well, actually, okay, because Villain Saga is not finished, I'd say it's better than Villain, and it's better than Cowboy Bebop. It is second only to Hunter x Hunter on my list right now. Everything else is below it. Still S tier, but Odd Taxi is actually that good. And if we're already talking about shows that are incredible and perfect, how about we bring up Attack on Titan, Shingetsu no Kyojin. I'm not sure if that's the actual pronunciation in Japanese, but whatever. Attack on Titan is the best story ever written in anime history. I don't care about any other opinion. Actually, okay, that's... If you have a different opinion, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just talking about myself. Out of every single show I've ever watched, there hasn't been a single one as intense, complicated, interesting, and detailed as Attack on Titan. This show gives you questions that you may not have an answer to, but you will think about. Okay, the ending of the show is very polarizing. Some people hate it, some people love it, but no matter what, you have some opinion on it, and that's special. This show gives you an experience that is unlike really anything else I've watched really ever in my life. If you've never watched anime and you wanna start watching anime, or maybe you wanna recommend an anime to someone that has never watched anime before, do yourself a favor and tell them to watch Attack on Titan, because this show, at least in my opinion, is the best show ever. It's the best. It's the top of S tier. It's not gonna get beaten out by anything else. It is number one. It is the best. And I don't wanna hear anything else. People say that some of the seasons are garbage. There are people out there that say that the fourth season ruined the show. What are you talking about? I don't even want to entertain those opinions. It's crazy. I mean, it's an amazing show. It is. But still, we gotta move on to the last 3 shows on my tier list. We're gonna have Jujutsu Kaisen, Erased, and Gurren Lagann. I'm gonna start with Gurren Lagann. Gurren Lagann is one of the most infamous shows in anime history. I've heard of hundreds and thousands of people that say that this is their favorite anime of all time. This is the mecha show. Maybe Evangelion is like on the same level, but like Gurren Lagann is the mecha show for many people. And I feel like the first 8 episodes of the show are genuinely amazing. Episode 8 of Gurren Lagann is one of the best episodes in anime history. Easily one of the best episodes. Yuko, this woman right here, is one of the hardest characters in anime history. They literally zoom in on her titties every time she's on screen. It's kind of awesome. It's also kind of weird because she's a teenager. I'm not gonna like make those assumptions. I'm like around her age myself, so hopefully that doesn't sound too creepy. But like she's a very sexualized character, which I don't mind. Kind of like Death Note. It starts off so well, but it falls off so much at the second half. It has some incredibly iconic characters, iconic moments. I will not take that away from Gurren Lagann, but I just cannot personally say it's on the same level as anything in S tier or even A tier. I feel like it's better than One Punch Man, it's better than Demon Slayer, but it's not better than Death Note. It's in the middle of B tier, and that's where it's gonna stay. Gurren Lagann is solid, but it is not perfect. It could have been much better. Now, last 2 shows. I'm gonna keep Erased for last. So right now we're doing Jujutsu Kaisen, and I'm gonna preface this by saying I am not a manga reader for Jujutsu Kaisen. I only watch the anime. So first season, second season, that's all I'm basing my opinion on. And to me, Jujutsu Kaisen feels like Demon Slayer, but better in every way. It's not as good as Hunter x Hunter or like Mob Psycho, which is not on the list, but like, you know, Mob Psycho is an S tier shonen as well. But it has better characters, it has better action. Jujutsu Kaisen is the kind of show that will keep you hooked from the first episode to the very last. It has a very basic story. It's not like, it's like a very thought-provoking, super interesting, life lessons, villain saga kind of story. It's not that. It's really simple. It's just action, action, action. But it's action done right. It is an 8-year show. I would say right now, I don't know how I will reorder 8-year. I think Space Dandy is I think it's better than JoJo. No, I think Mushoku Tensei is worse than JoJo, but I think Jujutsu Kaisen right now, actually, no, I'ma keep it the way it is. I feel like it's fine. It's fine for now. Jujutsu Kaisen is action, action, action. It's really fun. It doesn't tell too complicated of a story, but it doesn't have to. It's still a great show. Okay, the last show. Now, Erased is a show that 50% of people love and 50% of people don't love. They think it's mid because they think the ending is trash. I've watched this entire show in one day. I'm pretty sure it's like 17 episodes, maybe 14 episodes. I've watched all of it in one day. And I think it is great. This show is thrilling, beginning to end. I love it. Now, I've watched this show many, many years ago. Maybe if I rewatched it today, I would not like it as much, but I didn't rewatch it, so I'm basing my opinion on my opinion 4 or 5 years ago. And 4 or 5 years ago, me thought that this show is amazing. I feel like people really overestimate how bad the ending is. It's really not that bad. It's a bit goofy. It's an ending that makes sense. And it's an ending that I feel like wraps up the show well. It's a fun show. I'm gonna put it in A tier. I think it's bottom A, but it's still A. It's still a great show. Okay. This has been the tier list. It's only 20 shows. I've watched many, many more shows than this, but I didn't want this video to be super long. So I've limited it to 20 shows. Thank you for watching. Actually, right before I wrap up the video, I have a friend who is an anime expert. He watched 5 million animes in 1 week, and he has some opinions of his own. So, I will give him the stage. Let's see what he thinks about my tier list.
Hello, greetings. How are you, Mr. Orange? How are you guys? So I've heard you made some videos on anime tier list. So as you know, I'm a very big expert on anime. So let me see. Okay, give me control of the panel. Okay, let's see. Oh my god. Okay, as I see you're a bit of beginners. There are only 20 shows. Okay, let me show you how it's supposed to be done. Okay, first of all, we'll move this trash. Attack on Titan. It's one of the worst shows ever. Like, who really like Titans after we got those beast tails in Boruto? Okay, so we'll move it to a D or maybe C because Titans are a bit cool, but a bit cooler. But yeah, so after that we will take the Boruto from E tier to an S tier. Like, obviously, it's better than Naruto because, Naruto is just a beginner. It's like a grandpa, the father of Boruto, and there are ninjas and something like that. Wow, so cool! But come on, man, like the Otsutsuki, the aliens. Wow, it's just next level, and the fillers. Wow, the plot. It's just amazing. So.
Whoa, mate. What the fuck did you just say? What are you talking about? In what world is Attack on Titan in C? You are on crack, buddy. I didn't watch only 20 anime. I actually watched 20 million to let you know. I actually agree. Boruto is not D and it's not E. It actually shouldn't be on the tier list at all. Delete. It's garbage. And Attack on Titan, it's only Titans, so I feel like it makes sense that we actually make another tier for Attack on Titan. Titan tier. Can't even see it, not even in the tier list. It's that good. With all of that being said, guys, again, thanks for watching. Don't have bad takes, and tune in for next week for another video. Peace.